Hey guys, how's it going? We're in a different place tonight. We're at Sally Bradley's domain.
Yep.
Sally Bradley, your guest
Hey
today.
guys, how's it going?
Welcome to 1000 Hertz. This is episode 13. What we got playing here in the background there, Bradley?
Today we're listening to local band Mittens. This is their 2014 release called Experimental Sparkle Noise Pop, which I think kind of describes their sound.
Really great band, actually. I played with them about 3 years ago. Awesome band. Yeah, awesome. Well, we're drinking a Slow Hand Pilsner right now. And,
I'm drinking everything. I got Dat Juice by Citra Pale Ale by Twin Sails. So
yeah.
Cheers, Johnny. Good to have you here.
Cheers. Thanks for being on the show, Bradley. So, what's the plan? What are we gonna show today?
Today I want to talk about some of the albums that were important to me in my formative years when I was a kid, and some of the stuff that I, grew up listening to that kind of informed my entire musical taste.
Nice.
So first thing I want to point out is, so when I was a real young kid, I used to listen to like corny stuff like Weird Al and stuff up until I was probably like, 12 or something.
The gateway drug.
It was
Weird Al.
But you know what? Weird Al was punk rock.
Yeah,
man,
he
was like he was making fun of the stuff that was popular.
Yeah.
But then like as I get older, I have a sister who's a little bit older than me, and she introduced me to stuff like this album, Ministry, Land of Rape and Honey. This came out in 1988. This influential Chicago noise rock band, Al Jorgensen, Paul Barker, William Reiflin. This was probably their fourth album, first one I ever heard. Yeah. And this changed everything. It was sort of like, up to this point I was listening to, radio rock and stuff like that. And this was just like game changer.
Yeah, that was me too when I was a teenager. that album changed my life.
Oh, for sure. Cool. Yeah, no, and it was because it was industrial, it was noisy, it was punky, it was a little everything, right?
Yeah.
So next along, I want to shout out the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Nice.
Maybe they're a little bit cringe now. They always were kind of horny, but I started listening to this band when I was about 14 years old. And when you're 14 and you're listening to songs by the Chili Peppers, they're kind of horny. I was too at 14. So, but this is a really good album. I don't stand by some of their later material. Sorry for everybody who does. But this album was great. The first one was Jean Frusciante. It's dedicated to their former guitarist Hillel Slovak, who passed away. And yeah, Frusciante was about 19 when he recorded this, and it's fierce. Yeah. Like the guitar playing on here is fierce. I recommend it if you're a fan of the Chili's. If you don't know this record, check it out.
Yeah, great cover too.
Yeah, for sure, man. Bouncing right along.
How many we got here? 13?
Oh, we got a few. We got about 13. Okay. I was gonna have 10, but you can't just have 10.
And this is in no particular order. Or we?
This is sort of chronological, but not entirely. I want to point out this is another great band, fantastic band, the Butthole Surfers. So, Ministry, Chili Peppers, they kind of brought me into the realm of alternative music when I was a teenager. But this was the band that really, like, if you are 14 and you hear this for the first time, mind blown.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand some of the references that they were making on this record at the time because I was a little musically inexperienced. I didn't realize that Sweat Loaf was, a Black Sabbath tribute or, stuff like that. But yeah, it's famous for the songs like Cannonball, Human Cannonball, Pittsburgh to Lebanon, 22 going on 23. Such a great noise rock band. And the thing is, here's the front cover. The back cover's got this.
Totally.
No song titles, no pictures of the band. This is pre-internet, Johnny.
Yeah,
I'm an old guy. I had no idea what the band looked like.
Yeah.
Back then they had two drummers who stood up. Gibby Haynes was, lighting himself on fire and playing half naked most of the time.
Shooting shotguns out
the
audience.
They bounce beach balls over the crowd, and he would have a shotgun blasting them all out. it was nuts.
You could not get away with that nowadays.
You could never get away with that. But just such an important album.
It is.
Especially like if you're like us, fans of noisy punk rock music, experimental stuff that's just still to this day it holds up.
It does.
As just such an amazing, influential record.
I never get sick of that album.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, like I said, I was lucky enough. I picked it up on a trip when I was 14. Me and my family, we went down to Disneyland, and we were at a little record shop in somewhere in California, I think in San Francisco. And I picked up the Butthole Surfers. I picked up Firehose, Iffen, and Surf Punks. And anyways, all three of those records I still own, and they're still awesome. But I want to talk about the next band. Like I said, early on, before I started listening to serious music and getting into punk and noise rock and metal, I started listening to the Dead Milk Band, who are a Philadelphia punk rock band that are still active today. This is their 1985 album, Big Lizard in My Backyard. And this was sort of like when I was stopped listening to Weird Al, because he was funny. The Dead Milk Band, they're punk, but they're also very funny. They have a lot of acerbic, politically charged lyrics that make you giggle. And as a kid, I was all about it.
I just love the logo too. I just gotta point this out.
The logo is great.
The cow logo there.
Yeah. Iconic. And there's few bands that sound like these guys. They're not hardcore. They're not they're not pop punk necessarily, but they're in that vein, and they're awesome. You should, if you don't know them, check them out, please.
Kids at home,
check them out. I'm just gonna repeat everything you say, okay, Johnny?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Echo in the room.
There is. So next, once again, switching gears.
Yeah.
Many of you have heard of the famous radio band the Goo Goo Dolls. They're famous for their pop ballads. This album, Jed by the Goo Goo Dolls, came out in 1989. It's on I don't know if you can see this. It's on Metal Blade Records. Back then, they were still kind of thrashy and punky, and they had songs like Up Yours and Sex Maggot.
And look at the back, they're thrashing.
Oh yeah, like on the back, they're all thrashing around.
They're going hard.
Yeah, like the bass player didn't wear shoes. Like it was just nuts. And so this is my introduction to the Goo Goo Dolls. This wasn't their first record, but this was my first record by the Goo Goo Dolls. And I couldn't believe it when they started to get popular, because I was like, I've known about these guys for probably 5 or 6 years at that point, and I was very disappointed in the direction they went. I understand they made their money,
gotta pay the bills.
They got famous, and back then in the 90s we had a term called sellout. You could call them sellouts, but now it's like, hey man, power to them. I understand why they did it, but back then we would have called them fucking sellouts. All right. Now here's a couple of guys who, here's a couple of bands who never sold out. So this album came out in 1991. Still in my teens, I was learning to play guitar, and I heard this album because I had actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, Johnny. Can I just hold it? I want to point this out. This is a CD. I know we're talking about records here, but this is a CD compilation. This came out in 1988. It's called Last Call. It was put out by Zulu Records, a local record store that's still around. Johnny and I were just there today talking to the owner, Grant McDonough, who's still there and still going strong. He put together this compilation back in 1988, and it's Vancouver independent music from 1977 to 1988. And there are so many influential Vancouver bands on here. DOA, the Dish Rags, the Pointed Sticks, the Subhumans, Young Canadians, the Modernettes, No Means No, I Brain Eater, no fun, so many amazing bands, and I learned about them through this compilation. So thank you, Grant McDonough, for like just changing not only my opinion on local music, but just like giving me that
The range.
amazing range of all these bands. Where a lot of this stuff at the time was completely unavailable because it didn't come out on vinyl.
Pre-internet, right?
This is pre-internet. It's the only way you could get a lot of these songs on this comp. So thanks to Grant for putting this together. And you can still track these down. You'll find them used once in a while. They're hard to come by, but it's worth it.
Double disc.
Yeah,
It's
it's
4 discs?
it's 2 discs.
Oh, yeah.
But both of them are just like maxed out. They're both like 75 minutes long. They both got about like almost 30 tracks.
That's awesome.
They're really great compilation, and it's not likely to ever get a reissue. So if you track one down, please do. It's worth your effort.
I could just imagine young Bradley rocking it in his Discman, just bopping
Oh,
down the
dude!
street.
You have no idea. I had my No Means No shirt on. And speaking of No Means No, so I learned about No Means No because of that compilation. And the first No Means No album I bought was this album here, which came out in 1991, I believe. It's No Means No with Jello Biafra, of course, from the Dead Kennedys. So this was before I even had listened to the Dead Kennedys. I was aware of who they were, but I'd never listened to them. But this is a collaboration that they did together. And back then, Jello was very prolific. He had projects with the guys from Ministry in a band called Lard. He had a project with DOA, another awesome Vancouver band. And this was a project he did around that same time with No Means No, who are a legendary punk band from Victoria, BC. And they're one of my favorite punk bands of all time. This album meant so much to me as a kid. One of the very first songs I learned to play on guitar when I was about 16 or 17 was Ride the Flume. I still love this album. I just played it for Johnny when he first came over here, and he was very impressed. He never heard it. It's a good album.
1991, you said?
1991.
I had no idea.
Check it out.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah, if you get a chance, check that out. It's a great album. A lot of people overlook it because they want to listen to the classic No Means No or the classic Dead Kennedys. That's an amazing collaboration. From around that same time, this is a newer version of it, but the Pixies, Trompe Le Monde. This also, I believe, came out 1990 or 91. So yeah, I was still a teenager, maybe 16, and this album, while it's not their most famous or well-loved album, it's got a special place in my heart. It's my introduction to them. I'd heard about the band, but this is, like I said, pre-internet. They weren't on the radio. If you didn't know somebody who owned the record, there's no way you're going to listen to it. So, luckily, my local library had a copy on cassette, which every kid I knew borrowed that cassette from the library until somebody stole it.
Wow, libraries don't have cassettes anymore, but that is awesome.
Yeah, back then. Oh, when I talked to people,
remember
it was
actually,
like,
they used to have VHSs too.
they had VHSs, and then later they got CDs. So I burned a lot of CD, but from the library. So the Pixies, though, amazing band, influential to so many other bands, especially because they were sort of like they were indie rock, they were alternative rock when that was still a catchphrase that was in the early stages. You didn't really hear the term alternative rock. And then bands like the Violent Femmes and the Pixies and Jesus and Mary Chain started coming along, and you started hearing, well, they're alternative rock, or they're college rock, or they're indie rock. So these guys really paved the way. They just sort of did the loud, quiet, loud
Nirvana
formula
of that
Nirvana borrowed heavily from. And they will definitely cite the Pixies as one of their influences. And like I said, this isn't a favorite album by a lot of people, but it is for me. It was my introduction to them. So there you go. Pixies Trompe Le Monde, which means the mistake of the world, I believe.
In French?
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a bad translation, but whatever.
Oh, I gotta flip the record here.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, I gotta cut.
No.
We're not cutting.
Rolling.
Fuck, we're not cutting. All right.
We're rolling live.
All
Let's
right.
make sure we're still recording. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still
You
going.
can probably, you can figure it out. You can edit this shit. You probably can't, guys. Sorry. Sorry.
I probably can't.
It's
I'm
okay.
just too lazy.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all good.
This next one.
That's how we fucking roll.
This next one has a nice place in my heart here.
So, this album is also from the early 90s, 93. Band is Faith No More, and it was hard for me to pick just one Faith No More album because there's so many of them that mean a lot to me, but this album, as you can see, it's called Angel Dust. So on the front cover, there's a swan. It's this like nice, beautiful creature, gorgeous blue background, really stands out, really pops to the eye. And on the back, they have a dead cow and a bunch of meat hanging in a butcher shop to sort of like indicate like what you're in for. You're in for some pretty songs, and you're in for some pretty gnarly, nasty songs. And that sort of dichotomy was what this whole album was about. The opening track, for example, Land of Sunshine, there's a funny story to that, and it's about he asks a bunch of questions in the song, and all the questions are from a Scientology test, where they ask, like, do you often hum or whistle just for fun?
Yeah, that's right.
And all of the answers that he was giving in the lyrics were from fortune cookies. So they got a bunch of fortune cookies, and they're like, life for you is a daring, bold adventure. So sing and rejoice, and sing and rejoice. And that kind of dichotomy sort of sets the tone. Every track
Speaks for itself.
Mike Patton, who was, he had done the previous album with Faith No More, and he had done it with the previous singer's lyrics. This is the first one where he was able to open up, express himself, put his own spin on things, and collaborate with the band. And it really shows because there are so many different styles and different personalities that he evokes when he sings on this album. Amazing, Chef's Kiss, one of my top 10 for sure.
Yeah, Jizz Lobber.
Oh yeah,
great fit.
Oh, so many strong tracks. I could literally list them all.
That was probably one of the only cassette tapes I broke in high school on the bus.
Oh yeah,
I had to buy another one.
I wore it down, wore off all the lettering on the cassette. Yeah, for sure. Next we're gonna jump forward a couple years. Okay, this came out in '94. This is a band called Rocket from the Crypt, who are very near and dear to me. One of my favorite bands, if you can tell the tattoo, that's their symbol. The thing is with Rocket is they were so prolific at the time. Between the years of 93 and 96, they put out so many EPs and 7 inches and albums and 10 inches. It was crazy. There was probably if I was gonna compare it, I'd say it was close to the output of like the OCs or King Gizzard the Lizard Wizard today, where they're putting out several albums in 1 year. And the thing is, everything I heard by these guys was awesome. And I decided when I was about 18 or 19, I'm like, this is my favorite fucking band, and they still are. They still are, man. And every project that the singer, guitar player John Reese is in, they're awesome. Yeah. He's also in Drive Like Jehu.
That's right.
He's also in the Hot Snakes.
Hot Snakes,
he's also in more recently he's in Plosives. He was in the Night Marchers. All of those bands, great bands. Oh, there's my phone. I'm getting messages. I'm blowing up. Sorry guys, I'm hot there. But yeah, this is an album that's really good because it was sort of like their first album was a little all over the map, trying out different styles. This album was still experimental, but they were starting to figure out the sound. And by the next big full length, they'd figured it out and they were dialed in. But I like this album because it's just it's got a little variety, and I really like it. Songs like Hippy Dippy Doo, Ditch Digger, Don't Darlene, Killy Kill, Killin' Ain't Wrong, Killin' Ain't Wrong. Yeah, man, when I was like, when I was young and dumb, I love this stuff.
And off Cargo Records too.
Oh yeah, man.
Cargo Records.
Cargo Headhunter.
Great
Good stuff. Okay, here we go. Ticking along. Still 90s. This was a radio band. This is the Toadies from Texas. Some of you might remember they had a big hit with the song Possum Kingdom, which was a top 40 hit, not a top 10 hit. We're talking, wasn't played every hour, but it was played a few times a day. It got up there. Still played today. This was a weird album because they were very sort of Pixies-like. If the Pixies were from Texas, they'd be the Toadies. The thing about the Toadies was the singer, Todd Lewis, singer-songwriter, guitar player, his father was a Baptist preacher. So a lot of the lyrics are very religious. If you even see on the cover, it's called Rubberneck, the album, but the character on the cover, he's posed like Jesus Christ. And there's a lot of religious references. Now, on the back of the cover, there's a speedometer that has Jesus Christ's image on it. There's a lot of weird stuff about it, but it's not churchy in the way bands like, I don't know, Lifehouse or like Collective Soul.
Not God-fearing.
Yeah, it's not. It's very like everything he says has two meanings. Like there's a song where, the big song, Possum Kingdom, where he's like, basically he's talking about taking a girl down to the river and making her an angel. You're gonna stay as beautiful forever. So help me, Jesus. But if you actually listen to the words and not the way he's saying it, he's talking about murdering that girl, and he's asking Jesus to help him, to save him, for forgiveness. Like, it's fucked up. And it was on the radio. That was the 90s, Johnny.
Yeah.
That was the 90s.
He got away with it.
And there's a lot of really creepy stuff on this album, so sorry if liking this makes me a creep, but I'm going to embrace my inner creep just for this one, okay? I'll make an exception. Yeah, this one's signed by the band. This was I think the 20th or 25th anniversary.
Oh, you went to the show?
No, I got it. This was I had to special order it, and signed by everybody. It's got not the original bass player, but it's got Donovan Blair, who was in another one of my favorite 90s bands, Hagfish, later joined the Toadies. His brother, Zach Blair, has played in bands like War and Rise Against. So yeah,
wow.
Talented family, talented bunch of guys. Definitely check out the Toadies. They're more than just the radio hits. That's all I want to say about that.
They're still going?
They're still going.
Wow.
They're still great. I've seen them live a million times. That's a slight exaggeration, but they never disappoint. They're great. Okay, now we're gonna go to a dark period in my life.
Oh.
Because definitely went through a ska punk phase in my life.
I thought you were gonna pull out the black metal, the dark period.
No, this is
like mayhem.
No, this is the dark period where I was wearing checkered shoes and fucking pork pie hats. No,
stylish.
I was going into a lot of ska punk stuff. I was going to see bands like Goldfinger and Real Big Fish, which I know are definitely not cool.
What was the gateway drug? Was it Sublime?
It probably, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh, yeah.
Because they hooked me in
That's
with
right. Yeah.
Ska-core, The Devil, and More,
Yeah.
which where they had a bunch of hardcore songs.
And that guy's voice is a little bit more raspy,
dude.
right?
You should definitely check out early Boss Town. Ska-core, The Devil, and More, Devil's Night Out.
Probably good.
Oh, dude, it's actually, I'm gonna play some for, after this video, I'm gonna play some for Johnny. It's good, it fucking rips your ass. So anyways, speaking of ska punk bands that don't suck, Voodoo Glow Skulls from Southern California, I don't know exactly what city, San Diego, something like that, Hermosa Beach maybe. They were a very, there were three brothers, Castillo brothers, and they were all Hispanic. Some of the songs are in Spanish. Played faster and tighter than any other band I've ever seen in my life, and this shit holds up. Maybe, not lyrics-wise, but so much fun live. the horn section was insane. I had a soft spot for horn sections. Rock from the Crypt had a horn section. They were a punk band with a horn section. They weren't a ska band. These guys were, but yeah, cool. Really good stuff. You know, like I said, ska punk, dark period in my life. But this is warts and all, Johnny. I could have picked out the 10 coolest records. Maybe this isn't one of them.
Well,
but I don't want to bullshit your audience, man.
Yeah.
This
At
is
least
all
you're being
about
honest.
This is all about keeping it real here, all right?
Albums he grew up with, influenced them. But you can see by the wall, Bradley's got some taste.
Hey,
right?
you know what?
He's got some taste going on.
My name's sadly Bradley because I always got the blues. But you know what? It doesn't matter because I have a good sense of humor about this shit. I don't mind admitting it. Let's go with some noisier stuff now. This is a band that was on Epitaph. Now, Epitaph Records was known primarily for having bands like The Offspring or Bad Religion, like Rancid, stuff like that. But they had this band from Seattle called Zeke, and this is their album from 1998 called Kicked in the Teeth. And there's, I want to say 17 tracks, and I think it's 19 and a half minutes long. It's just in your face, speed punk, like, it's kind of like Motorhead, but just even faster and gnarlier. Yeah, not that I'm trying to piss off any Motorhead fans out there. Nobody can touch them. These guys came pretty close, and they're really intense. A lot of fun, good band. So many great songs.
They're still playing too.
They're
right?
still going, man. They had a new album like a year or two ago. I've seen them as recently as a couple of years ago. Such a great band. Songs like Kicked in the Teeth, Fuck All Night, and they even do a cover of Kiss's Shout It Out Loud, just for all you classic rock guys out there. So yeah, that could be your gateway. Check it out.
Yeah, nice.
All right, we're getting down the nitties and the gritties here, Johnny. All right, I want to give a shout out. This is a band. First of all, I want to point out this sick ass vinyl. This is on sort of like apple-y colored vinyl. It's got granny apple green, and it's got
candy cane.
Yeah, it's like candy cane.
Christmassy.
Yeah, it's really nice. So this is an album by New York sort of art rock band called Les Savi Fav, and they were known for their fun live shows where the singer would get up to all kinds of antics, put on costumes, grab props from the back, incorporate them into the show, get people on stage, get people involved in the show. I once saw them in Seattle probably about 10 or 12 years ago at the Capitol Hill Block Party, and during the set, the singer actually ran up, because it was on the street, there were apartment buildings on either side of the stage, and the singer actually buzzed the intercom in the apartment building to where some people were watching the show, and ran up into the apartment building and finished the song up in the apartment building. It was crazy. Like it was like the kind of show, like you never see shit like that in a show. And then on the way back down, he stole a plant from the lobby and then he threw it into the crowd. And it was antics like that made these guys a legendary band. But this is a fantastic album. This is probably about their second to last album, but near and dear to my heart. Really good listen. All kinds of genres on here. Everything from even some dub reggae influences to just jangly art rock to hardcore and punk. Everything's on here.
That's cool.
Check it out. Let's
check
Stay Friends by Les Savi Fav.
Nice.
There you go. If you can track it down, it's hard to come by. It's on French Kiss Records, which was their own label. But yeah, check it out if you can. All right, here we go.
Last one.
Can't believe that just flew by, Johnny. I
know,
hope you had a good time.
Hey, I did. Thanks for having me over, Brad.
Hey, thanks for having me on your show. I've been enjoying.
Of course. We've been wanting to do this for a while. So.
Yeah, no, and I hope that you guys like it. Hope you guys like some of my picks and appreciate
Check
them.
them out if you don't know them.
Check them out if you don't know them. I'm not trying to be weird. I'm not trying to be obscure. I'm just talking about stuff that I really enjoy. I hope some of you guys do too. So the last band I want to talk about, we're bringing it into a little bit more modern age. This originally came out in 2002. So still like more than 20 years ago when it first came out. But this band, McCluskey, from Cardiff, Wales, just got the chance to see them. Was it this year or last year? Recently, anyways. They played in town at the Rickshaw. Amazing show. Such influential noise rock band. If you don't know them, give them a listen. Their big hit single from this was Lightsaber Cocksucking Blues, which has been covered by a lot of bands, as well as To Hell with Good Intentions has been covered by everybody, from the Japandroids to the Hold Steady. It's been, I think locally we had another band that were Hot Panda. Now they're called Bad Pop. They covered as well. Yeah, really great stuff. If you like angry music with some clever, sarcastic, witty lyrics, definitely check this out if you don't know it. So yeah,
Nice.
That's all I have to talk about today.
Well, and perfect because it's coming down to the end of the album.
I hope I wasn't
Shout out
too.
to local Steve. If you don't know this band, check them out. And yeah, thanks again, Bradley, for coming on the show and having us over, having some beers.
Yeah.
We're going to the Night Court show tonight at the Lido. So I'll hope to post this tonight. So if you see this, get down to the Lido, check out Night Court.
And you've got your show coming up next week.
Next month. Yeah.
No. You got your.
Oh yeah, End Times, right? End Times next Sunday.
You'll be selling records and
Yeah,
other stuff.
we'll be selling a bunch of records. Matterhorn Records will be there, plus other record vendors and other artists and collectors. Also, Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, killer dads. Happy Father's Day to my father, and yeah.
Yeah, happy Father's Day, my dad. He's in heaven.
And rest in peace to one too.
One more thing. I'll be doing a DJ set next month. I'm gonna plug that with Russian Tim from Russian Tim and Palace Brewers. We have what's that place called? The Heatley over on Hastings Street.
Nice, check
Watch
that
for
out.
it. Check me out. You can follow me on Instagram at Sadly Bradley. And thanks, Johnny,
Thank
for
you,
having me
man.
on the show.
Awesome.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks.
Cheers.